There are turning points in global politics that get people's attention and make them question the status quo. Iran, a country with a long history and a tendency to surprise people, wants to get closer to the BRICS nations. This is one of those times. This brave move has sent shockwaves through the international community and made people interested and excited about what it might mean for Iran, the BRICS group, and the world as a whole. As the world waits with bated breath, the stage is set for a thrilling geopolitical tale that will likely change alliances, test the status quo, and raise questions about the future of international relations. Iran's move toward the BRICS nations has become an interesting story of diplomatic moves, economic opportunities, and regional goals at a time when power structures are changing and people are looking for strategic benefits. As the country tries to improve its position on the world stage, it makes allies, tests its allegiances, and starts geopolitical rivalries. Iran wants to change the international order and build a new story of power. So get ready for a crazy ride through the halls of power. Iran's choice to get closer to BRICS countries is based on a mix of geopolitical, economic, and strategic factors. As a country that has been under political and economic pressure from the West for a long time, Iran wants to be less reliant on the West and make new partnerships to protect its own interests. Because of the pivot, Iran can do different kinds of political work and show its power on the world stage. By joining BRICS, Iran wants to balance out the power of the West, especially the United States, and make it easier for it to negotiate on the world stage. This change in strategy shows that Iran is eager to show that it is an important player in world politics and to challenge the existing power structures. Because of what it has been through in the past, Iran wants to find new friends. Because of its nuclear program, the country has had to deal with economic sanctions, political pressure, and being cut off from the rest of the world. Because of these moves, Iran's economy is in bad shape, and it has less access to foreign markets and technologies. Iran has reacted by trying to make friends with countries whose policies are similar to its own and that can help it in economic, political, and strategic ways. Intellectual, right? By making deals with countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa that are getting stronger, Iran can improve its position as a regional power player and make its voice heard in international forums. This gives Iran a bigger voice in things like regional wars, oil security, and economic cooperation that affect its national interests. Iran can make a lot of money from the move toward the BRICS countries. Together, the BRICS countries have a lot of economic power and a big part of the world's population and GDP. So, they are a good place to sell things and services from Iran. Iran has a lot of natural resources like oil and gas that the fast-growing BRICS economies can use to meet their energy needs. Iran can trade with more countries and lessen its reliance on traditional Western markets if it makes its economic ties better. It can also find new ways to grow its economy. Collaboration in areas like energy, building infrastructure, the transfer of technology, and farmland could help create jobs, bring in more foreign investment, and make Iran's economy better. For example, China, which has the biggest economy among the BRICS countries, needs more and more energy to keep its economy growing. Iran has a lot of oil and gas reserves that can be used to power China's growing businesses. Both countries can benefit from long-term trade deals, business relationships, and the sharing of technology if they work together more on energy. In the same way, India's growing middle class gives Iran's exports like linens, farm goods, and medicines a lot of chances to grow. Iran is moving toward the BRICS bloc because it wants to make strategic partnerships that will help it reach its goals in the area. Iran's alliance with Russia and China, in particular, gives it political and military support and keeps it safe from threats and pressure from other countries. By working together with these strong countries, Iran wants to strengthen its position in the Middle East, balance out the influence of the West in the area, and gain more control over what happens there. Baffling, right? As Iran takes bold steps toward closer ties with the BRICS countries, the world stage is covered with a web of mystery and doubt. In the halls of power, alliances are put to the test, talks get heated, and the balance of power is on the edge of a cliff. The stakes are high, no one knows what will happen, and the whole world is waiting with bated breath for the next turn in this exciting geopolitical tale. Will Iran's decision to go in a different direction change how the world works? Can the BRICS countries do what needs to be done and change how power is shared around the world? The answers are just around the corner. and it looks like the next parts of this exciting video will be nothing less than amazing. Stay tuned as the story continues to unfold and show how the fates of countries and the forces that shape our future are revealed. Russia has been friends with Iran for a long time, and both countries want to keep the area stable, work together on energy problems, and stop the West from taking over. In the military, on joint building projects, and in international political platforms, for example, the two countries have worked together in many ways. The strategic relationship between Russia and Iran helps each country reach its own geopolitical goals and balances out the influence of the West in the Middle East. On the other hand, China offers Iran economic chances, political support, and a strategic alliance. When it comes to trade, energy security, and peace in the area, the two countries have the same goals. China's Belt and Road Initiative is similar to what Iran wants to do to unite and make the economies of Asia and the Middle East work better together. Both China and Iran can benefit from more trade, investments, and diplomatic support on important problems that come from their strategic alignment. Iran's industrial and technological sectors may gain from the country's shift in focus to the BRICS countries. Iran can improve its own technological capabilities by drawing on the knowledge and innovations of other BRICS countries, especially in fields like telecommunications, renewable energy, and infrastructure construction. Iran's path to innovation, economic growth, and increased competitiveness can be paved through collaborative research initiatives, joint ventures, and knowledge-sharing platforms. But Iran's move toward closer ties with the BRICS countries is not without issues and effects. How to deal with the different goals and interests within the BRICS group is one of the biggest problems. Each member country has its own friends, policy goals, and geopolitical worries. Balancing these interests and finding a common position on things that are important to both, like Iran's nuclear program or conflicts in the region, will take skillful diplomacy and conversation. Iran needs to figure out how to deal with all of these different ties and make sure that its own needs are heard and met within the BRICS structure. Also, Iran's move toward the BRICS bloc could make it harder for it to work with its normal Western partners. The US and European powers have been critical of Iran's nuclear program, its record on human rights, and its policies in the region. As Iran gets closer to the BRICS countries, it risks getting even further away from the West, which could have economic and political effects. Regulations, trade limits, or political isolation from the West could slow Iran's economic growth and make it harder for the country to get to key markets and technologies. Iran needs to think carefully about the possible effects of its turn and compare them to the benefits it wants to get. The way power is spread around the world is affected by Iran's move toward the BRICS countries. It questions the West's long-held power and the current world order, which has been shaped by the West's economic and political systems. Iran's closer links to the BRICS group show that the world is becoming more multipolar because Iran has a lot of political power. This could change how power is distributed around the world, giving non-Western groups a bigger say in how the world works. It could also cause alliances, trade ties, and geopolitical alignments to change more around the world. In this fascinating look at Iran's change toward the BRICS countries, we've seen an interesting story of diplomatic moves, economic possibilities, and strategic goals. As the last page of this story is turned, the stage is set for a new time in global politics and how power works. The world can't wait for the next part of this exciting story, where friendships will be tested, rivalries will heat up, and the fates of countries will be decided. Get ready for the big ending of this amazing global story, where the fates of Iran, the BRICS bloc, and the whole world hang in the balance. Get ready to find out how this interesting story ends. The last turns and twists will leave us stunned and forever changed. This exciting story is almost done, and the curtain is about to come down. Stay tuned for the amazing finish, which will change the shape of the world and the futures of many countries.